day to all your listeners and viewers all over the world, especially the people of the BNI area and Subekwai. I have a file before me here, and I believe that you can see this document. This is from the Registrar General's Department, and this is the name of the company. It's University of Ghana Medical Center Company Limited, registered on the 10th of September 2015. And the object of the company is the management of the medical center of the University of Ghana.
Okay. Could you kindly detach just this one so that I could show it to a viewer so we know exactly what we're talking about? Yeah. So basically, this is an authentic, you're saying that this is an authentic document from the Registrar General's Department. You are also a media house. You can do your own check to find out if what I'm saying is not correct. I obtained this from the Registrar General's Department. Okay. And if you open the second page, you see the list of directors. That included the names that I mentioned yesterday. Okay. The object of the company, as I've said, was to come and manage the University of Ghana Medical Center. Something that was, to the best of my knowledge, financed and implemented by the Ministry of Health. How this team, and this is the list of directors there, you can mention it or show it on your set for everybody to see. It's okay, so I'm going to very basically go through a few of the names here. It says the entity and the company. Then you have the first name Ernest, last name Aite, as a position held being director and with a TIN number. Eroni Lante Lawson, director. Ebenezer Owusu, director. Robert Joseph Metal Nunu, director. Ni Aye, director. Karen Ekumi Tano, director. Adrian Odoy, director. Francis Mensah, director. Patrick Aye Kumi, director, with all their 10 numbers here.
So the big question that comes up is that if the University of Ghana is claiming ownership and also claiming that they are going to manage it, are these people synonymous with University of Ghana? Because this is a limited liability company. The little knowledge I have in law tells me that this is a private limited liability company. It has nothing to do with the University of Ghana. Yes, of course, at the time of registering, I do concede that some of them were were officers of the university. But one would have expected that they would have registered the business they would have been directors as representative of the various departments and institutions of the university, and not in their private names. But there's nothing showing that these people even work for the university at the time that they registered the business. So the million-dollar question that are begging for answers is that, were they acting in the interest of the university and also in the interest of Ghana, or they were, there's an agreement for them to manage the facility on behalf of the university that we don't know. If there are things like that, they should bring them out for us to discuss. Okay.
Now, a party that is of interest in this particular issue is Mr. Rojo Metal Nunu. He is a former Deputy Health Minister, and he joins us on the line to... good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon to you and your cherished listeners.
Okay. Now, we have the current Deputy Health Minister in the studios, who has also given us evidence, if so to speak, of the alleged ownership or registration of members, basically in the names of about 7-8, with your name as well as the ex-Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Aite, there. And can you tell us, from your point of view, are you a registered name? Is it registered in your name, the medical center?
Well, to start with, the registration of the University of Ghana Medical Center Limited with our names as directors is correct.
Okay. So
secondly, the Deputy Minister in the discussion had all the opportunity through his minister. They were properly briefed, handing over notes were made available. We made reference to a 2015 agreement between the Ministry of Health and the university, where ownership and management of the facility was handed over to the university for them to proceed with incorporating the entity. The University Council, therefore, directed the legal department of the University of Ghana to carry out the registration. And the substantive people you've named were the selection of the University Council. We didn't just get up and incorporate the University of Ghana Medical Center. The legal department of the University of Ghana incorporated the entity. Professor Ernest Aite, the outgoing Vice Chancellor, was asked by the University Council to head the board because he had been championing the project until his exit as a Vice Chancellor. Who is more qualified than a very eminent economic professor who is also a former Vice Chancellor to help this institution to be established? Who is better placed than Mr. Aaron Lawson, Professor Aaron Lawson, a former provost of the College of Health Sciences and the current acting CEO, to help the transition of creating a viable and world-class tertiary quaternary teaching hospital. Professor Ayekumi is a member of the board in his capacity as the provost, the current provost of the College of Health Sciences.
Okay.
Dr. Adrian Odoy is an outstanding practitioner. He runs Akai Diagnostic Center opposite the American Embassy in Cantonment. Mr. Aye, Dr. Aye is the director of Gapoa Medical Center. You have Karen Akumi Tando, an outstanding banker and financial strategist who was a former director of EcoBank in one of the ECOWAS countries. I mean, the basis for which the university appointed these directors was based on merit. Okay. And we are not owning the directorship in our personal capacity. We were all given appointment letters by the University of Ghana to act and to serve in that capacity.
Okay, sir. Now, regarding the current impasse between government and the University of Ghana, would you say this comes at a time to validate some of the things that government is saying?
Well, I don't see how this validates anything the current government is saying. The current government had all the opportunity to read and understand agreements between the University of Ghana and the Ministry of Health. If they are proving to us today that the agreement entered into by the University of Ghana and the then Minister of Health for and on behalf of government is a fake document, then they have a basis. But the minister acting in his capacity as the minister signed the agreement. He signed the agreement. You cannot wish that away. You cannot. Okay. Unless you go through the agreement, look at the various covenants for termination of that agreement, which clearly states that there has to be a review. And the review is based on certain benchmarks that each party is supposed to provide. The university has its role. The ministry acting for and on behalf of the government of Ghana was supposed to, one, secure the seed capital for the place to run, assist in getting the Ministry of Finance to approve the financial budget and operational costs of the place. We were asked by the then Minister of Finance, Mr. Setete, to produce a business and investment plan. And the University of Ghana Business School undertook that study and produced a business and investment plan for the next 15 years, which showed how, if the government of Ghana gave us a facility for the phase 2, we would then be able to pay without the institution being a burden on the taxpayer for the recovery of the money owed under the loan. Okay. All of those things were done legitimately, very transparent.
Okay, now could you kindly hang on for me?
The debt management outfit of the Ministry of Finance, they will find the business plan that was presented as a justification for the phase 2.
Okay.
I hear you saying that phase 1 has not been completed. That is not correct. Phase 1 was duly corrected and commissioned, and the President of the Republic of Ghana handed over the facility to the University of Ghana in line with that government's thinking that the best institution to run the facility was the first and premier medical school in Ghana that provides specialist doctors and specialist biomedical practitioners, pharmacists to Kolebu.
Mr. Nunu, thank you very much for your submission. Let's get back to Mr. You were laughing when he made some of the submissions. You don't agree with some of the things he said?
Of course, I cannot agree with some of the things he said.
Okay.
And let's even grant that under the previous government, that was the arrangement. A new government has taken over. And whatever a minister has done, another minister can undo. The two ministers of education and minister of health have come to an agreement that indeed the facility was put up by the Ministry of Health. All the 4 teaching hospitals we have in Ghana, to which Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Konfanochi, Tamale Teaching Hospital, Cape Coast Teaching Hospitals, are all under the ownership and control of the Ministry of Health. Right. Why should the University of Ghana Medical Center be different? If indeed, I don't know whether this falls under the transitional provisions of the Transitional Act, a new government has taken over. I didn't know this, to be honest with you, until I had a copy of this document. How can we allow people who have retired from the university, people on the letter of appointment that he's claiming, I'm not privy to it, has not come to our notice, that the university appointed them.
So are you saying that the names that have been officially registered on the company for the medical center, are you going to revoke them? What exactly are you going to do about it?
Well, I cannot tell the next line of action on air, but I believe that definitely something will be, because one would have expected, and if you look at all the public operations, representatives on the board are normally nominations from institutions. And if we want to get a private individual to be on there, then you should have a clear mandate that you are being appointed on your merit as so and so, maybe because of your experience and your expertise.
Would you say government is government uncomfortable with probably some of the names on this list?
It's not about the names, it's about the principle. We at the Ministry of Health believe, and we have evidence to do so. If there was time, I will take you through all this documentations. I have a big file before me here. That the hospital, the loan facility was procured by the Ministry of Health. The implementation unit was put together by the Ministry of Health. It was throughout the supervision was done. Every penny that went into that facility was borne by the Ministry of Health. Okay. So
hold that thoughts for a second. Let's get onto the phone lines and then wrap up with Mr. Metal Nunu. Sir.
Yes.
Yeah. Last words before we leave. We leave you.
Well, the Deputy Minister is not sufficiently informed. And I think if this is the posturing he's got, that is why they are misinforming cabinet and government on the way forward. You know,
what exactly is he not informed about?
Not by the Ministry of Health. It was signed by the Ministry of Finance. If he doesn't know procurement procedure, I'll teach him. The loan was contracted by the government of Ghana through the Ministry of Finance. It was signed between Bank Hapoalim of Israel and the finance minister. The insurance cover on the loan was provided by Ashra of Israel. The ministry only signed the commercial agreement, which was between the ministry and the contractor for the EPC contractor to carry out the work. If you read his handover notes properly, you would have known that a joint steering committee was created to manage and supervise the implementation of the project. With 2 chairpersons. You had Professor Enes Aite as the Vice Chancellor, as one of the co-chairpersons, and the Minister of Health was the other co-chair.
All right.
The government of Ghana was expected to provide certain facilities, which it never did. And because the University of Ghana understood that they were the primary beneficiaries that will run the hospital for and on behalf of government, they provided money for the roads, they provided money for electricity, they provided money for water connection to the place.
Okay.
They provided facilities for internet access. They provided security. To date, the hospital is being secured by the University of Ghana.
Mr. Nunu, thank you very much. Unfortunately, this how far the time can take us. So yes, and thank you very much, Mr. Nunu. Rohumeto Nunu is a former Deputy Health Minister and also one of the names mentioned in regarding the registration of the University of Ghana Medical Center. Let's get back into the studio and wrap up with the Deputy Minister Kingsley Abuaji-Jedu. Now, you are still laughing when he was talking. Are you saying that he was lying?
Well, I don't want to descend into the gutter with him. He called me all sorts of names. I'm ignorant. Yes, I may be as ignorant as anything. But to the documents don't lie. Okay. Documents, the other time there was at a meeting, high-powered meeting somewhere, a letter from the EDC written to the Ministry of Health and the government on the 8th of this month stated clearly that they have been taking care of the facility in terms of the security and other things that he's talking about. Okay. And that is what brought the brouhaha. When they wrote that they want to now demobilize from the site, and that they were calling on the ministry to take care of the security of the place. Okay. I don't want us to engage in some of this, but what is his interest? Okay. If you were appointed,
let's move away from that. Let's move on. Finally, just before you go, does government have a blueprint, a plan as to exactly how the center is supposed to be managed? Very briefly.
Definitely, we do have such a thing. But he says something to the fact that the project is complete. I can tell him for a fact, and then you can all go there and verify. You can speak to the EDC. The project is not complete as we stand. Okay. As things stand now, and we need about $6 million to operationalize the phase 1 before we can even think of developing the phase 2.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. I've been speaking with Mr. Kingsley Abuaji-Jedu. He's a Deputy Health Minister. And let's do some other stories. And the Municipal Chief Executive of K2 South, Elliot Agbenor, has revealed that he informed the security apparatus about 2 luxury Mercedes-Benz cars parked in his house by one Darlington. Now, the white Mercedes-Benz 300 SL and black Mercedes-Benz 190 SL were allegedly brought into the country illegally. National Security and the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority seized the cars after the MCE blew the whistle on the owner. Preliminary investigations show that the vehicles were smuggled into the country to avoid a 900,000 Ghana cedi duty. Denying ownership of the vehicles, though they were retrieved from his residence, Mr. Agbenor said he currently does not stay in the house where the cars had been parked since it is under renovation. Now let's head on to the phone lines and speak with the Municipal Chief Executive of K2 South, Elliot Agbenor. Good afternoon, sir. Many thanks for joining us on Midday Live.
Good afternoon.
Right. Now, can you kindly tell us how the cars ended up in your official residence?
Thank you. I was in Accra then, en route to the municipality when I received a call from my security at the official residence, of which I'm not even residing, that an individual came and parked a vehicle in the house. Initially, I have informed them never to allow anybody to use the place in my absence. So the security informed me that when a gentleman came, they have informed the gentleman that that was the directive I gave. And according to them, he empowered them and parked the 2 vehicles in the house and later brought a towing vehicle and put the 2 Mercedes-Benz on it. Having informed me, I quickly also informed my security people. I informed the BNI police and also the customs
to quickly move to the official residence of the MCE and check it out, what is happening. Later, I was informed the vehicles were impounded. They were found to be not having any document, and they were impounded.
Now, as the head of security, sir, in the municipality, you should be seen as viciously embarking on a search for these national security operatives?
Yes, as the chairman of the security, I know all the people that are security personnel that I'm working with. And yes.
Now, how close is the security setup in busting this operative?
If I understand your question, is it how close?
How close are they to busting the operatives, those who perpetrated this act?
I wouldn't know those who perpetrated the act. I only do not like the idea where the gentleman has to come and park the vehicle there. Suspecting, I called the customs to move in, the BNI and the police to move in, and check it out and arrest the individual and also the vehicle. So I do not have an issue with anybody, an individual. I don't know the person, but my interest is that why the person has to park the car in my residence, and I'm not comfortable with that idea. That was why I had to call the security personnel to move in and check it out.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this afternoon. On the phone lines just now is Elliot Agbenowo. He is the Municipal Chief Executive of K2 South. Now let's head to Parliament, where it is to issue a memorandum inviting comments from the public on the President's nominee for the Special Prosecutor position. Former Attorney General Martin Amidu, who has been nominated by the President, is expected to be vetted by the Appointment Committee.
Members of Parliament will resume on Tuesday, January 23. The House, which has been on a month break, is expected to deal with a number of issues on resumption. Key among them is the vetting of the President nominee for the Special Prosecutor position.
I think with the vetting is that it takes a process. The nominations will come to Parliament. We will invite memos and contributions and whatever the public has, with regards to the nominee, that will be done. If there is anything, the background sessions and all those things will happen before the actual hearing that we all see, the public hearing happens. So we are ready. We are holding ourselves in readiness for when the wheel starts running.
Martin Amidu will have to be approved or otherwise before he can take office. The 5-member committee probing the cash for seat saga will also be expected to conclude their probe and present their reports to the House. One other issue the House will be dealing with will be the fate of the 2 former Guantanamo Bay detainees. The President, during the media encounter at the Flagstaff a week ago, indicated the fate of the 2 former detainees will be made known on resumption of Parliament. A number of bills, instruments, motions and debates as well as papers are to be introduced and laid.
We're also expecting the Conduct of Public Officers Bill 2018 that also will be introduced at some point. The Companies Bill will be introduced at some point. National Employment Bill 2018 is also expected to be introduced. The Land Bill 2018 will also be introduced, and then the Wildlife Bill 2018 are among some of the bills that will be introduced as the year progresses.
The longest standing bill, the Right to Information Bill, is expected to be reintroduced.
A lot of work was done on it in the last Parliament, and we're expecting that as the life of this Parliament rolls out, it will be reintroduced at some point. We have a business committee that sets the agenda, and also we have procedures for how bills are generated. The Right to Information Bill, like you rightly said, was extensively talked about in the 6th Parliament, and a lot of work was done on it in that Parliament. Unfortunately, with the death of that Parliament comes the inflection of time, so the bill goes into abeyance.
In all, 55 bills and 25 instruments and a number of Speaker's directives, which are currently at the committee's level, are to be worked on in the 2nd session of the 7th Parliament.
Now, away from Parliament, the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Professional Studies, Professor Joshua Alabi, has urged the former President John Dramani Mahama not to contest the National Democratic Congress flag bearership race. The former Vice-Chancellor is of the view that John Mahama has had his opportunity and it's time for others to lead.
Not aware.
And I'm saying that
I'm not aware that the former president John Mahama has told anybody that he will stand.
Would you rather he doesn't contest?
Well, I will buy into the idea where he allows others to also lead the party, and then he gives the necessary support with all his background, rich experience and everything. The party has a lot of people who can lead. The party has trained a lot of people for many years, right? He was given an opportunity, and I respect that he's done very well from my point of view, and they need also to allow others also to compete and come up with his support and the support of Jerry Rawlings, the support of the elders of the party. Then the party will now move.
Now, what you saw is an excerpt of the interview that will air on New Day on Wednesday, January 24. Now, let's move on and do some other stories. And the need for an increase in centers of excellence in Ghana has become necessary to help prevent medical tourism. Now, the increase in medical tourism would enable the country train more specialist doctors to treat all kinds of medical conditions.
Vice President Dr. Baumie's departure from Ghana to the United Kingdom on medical leave has reignited a debate on why some Ghanaian leaders travel outside for medical care. Adakulu Member of Parliament Kwame Agboja expressed his concern on the matter.
Would it be protecting public purse to have flown the Vice President out of the country when we could have done that? Assess or giving him treatment at Ridge or within the country.
However, a Deputy Health Minister, Kingsley Abuaji-Jedu, had explained the decision to fly the Vice President to the UK.
We had Ghanaian doctors looking after him on the Thursday and Friday, but they, upon their advice, that he had to seek the medical care outside the country.
But under which condition would doctors advise that a patient be taken outside Ghana for medical attention?
If the service being rendered or being sought is not available here. And this may be that the expertise, the human resource may be here, but the equipment may not be here. Or the other ancillary services required for even to complete the diagnosis may not be here. In that case, then or there's an expertise, maybe a world-renowned specialist in a particular field which is not developed here, then the person will need that kind of service outside. So for an ordinary person, what will happen is that a medical board is usually set up to evaluate the diagnosis and indeed confirm that the service that is being sought is not available here, or there is either a better expertise elsewhere, and that's the best place that the person can get that care. Then that board certifies it, and then if the employers are willing, they provide some financial help and stuff like that to get the person out.
Dr. Bayo explained that though Ghana has a lot of specialist doctors and equipment, Ghanaians would continue to travel outside for medical care since not all specialists are found in Ghana. In case of organ transplant, for example, a patient would definitely need the expertise of doctors abroad. Therefore, the need for an increase in centers of excellence.
Fetal therapy, for instance, where we perform surgeries for babies while they are inside their mother's womb. It's a skill that can easily be learnt, but the equipment needed to have that kind of service available currently is not available. Private centers have invested and are able to do a lot of fetal diagnostics now, but the therapy to a large extent, in utero surgeries and stuff, are not being performed in the country. We've been able to set up a center like the Cardiothoracic Center, and we are doing heart surgeries. Before it came, there were Ghanaian heart surgeons, but they couldn't come here because when they come, where are they going to operate? That's why we as a nation must set up centers of excellence where we can go into these subspecialties, and it is available for training.
He explained most Ghanaian doctors are unable to return to Ghana for practice due to the lack of equipment in the area of their expertise. He stated the association wished the country had all the necessary machinery and expertise to attract other heads of state to seek medical care in Ghana.
Now to some security issues. The police have begun investigating 2 prisoners at the Ankafor Maximum Security Prison who defrauded a 45-year-old woman to the tune of 8,300 Ghana cedis. 30-year-old Joseph Adua and Yaobio Yakubu, 57, reportedly committed the crime using mobile phones. Now, Peter Kwao Adato has been finding out how a convict in prison cells could have easy access to a mobile phone.
Occurred in August last year. The convict Joseph Adua allegedly introduced himself to the female victim via phone as an importer, and the two became friends. After a while, Joseph Adua sought financial assistance from the victim to enable him clear some goods from the port. The victim then transferred 8,300 cedis through a mobile money to Joseph Adua on October 10. But instead of fulfilling his promise, Joseph Adua continued to give excuses and rather demanded more financial help. The victim then became suspicious and reported the case to the police. Based on police advice, the victim invited Joseph for the money, but he declined. He rather, on December 27, sent one Kwame Mustafa and Stella Haja to receive the money on his behalf. The arrest of the 2 persons led to the revelation that Joseph Adua is a convict in Ankafor maximum prisons. Joseph reportedly admitted to the crime and mentioned one Yaobio Yakubu as the brain behind the act. The mobile phone allegedly used to commit the crime was subsequently seized. But how did the convict get access to the phone for such a period without the knowledge of the prison officials?
It's equally true that phones are not allowed, especially mobile phones are not allowed in the prisons. Normally, people will want to find a way of introducing these contrabands to outwit the system. I'm sure this is one of the things that happened, and the mobile phone found their way into the prisons, which the prisoners now are using.
30-year-old Joseph Adua is serving 40 years imprisonment, whilst Yaobio Yakubu, 57, was incarcerated for 25 years for robbery.
You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. We'll be right back with more news after this. Stay with us. Welcome back to Midday Live. It's now time for us to do some business news, and let's start off with the story. Government has reiterated its position that debt-owed Get Fund contractors has been settled to a large extent. Information Minister Mustafa Hamid says a bulk of the indebtedness to the contractors has been cleared.
We wish to reiterate that everything that the President said at his press encounter last Wednesday was a true reflection of the state of government indebtedness to contractors generally. 838 million was what was owed specifically to Get Fund contractors. 470 million out of that amount has been paid to them. There is an outstanding bill of 367 million to be cleared. So surely the bulk of what was owed to Get Fund contractors has been paid.
Now, the Get Fund contractors have besieged the offices of the Get Fund administrator in Accra over the back and forth as government insists a chunk of the monies owed them has been cleared. Now, let's get onto the phone lines and speak with Daniel Tano. He is the head of the Get Fund contractors. Right. All right. So, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, madam. How are you?
Yes. So, it's Elliot Tano, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, right. Now, you are the head of the Get Fund contractors. Have you been meeting the administrator for Get Fund, and what has he been telling you?
Yes, we were there this morning to meet the administrator, but unfortunately, he is not feeling well, so he did not come to the office. So we have agreed that a day be fixed next week. Between Tuesday and Wednesday, the contractors will go back to Get Fund and meet the administrator to see the way forward. So we could not meet him today.
All right. Now, on the number of you who have not been paid, did any issue regarding due diligence emerge, and how soon do you think this might be able to be worked out?
We wouldn't be able to tell now until, or unless we meet the administrator and see what exactly the issues are. So we can only comment on these issues after meeting the administrator.
Yeah. Now, you're still insisting that the chunk, or basically what government is saying regarding the payment, them saying that the chunk of the monies owed you have been paid. You're still insisting that this is not the case?
Yes, the figures the government is putting across is what is marveling us, because we're still not clear how many contractors were given this money.
Okay. Well, they're saying they've paid 470 million of the 838 million owed Get Fund.
We are not going there to audit Get Fund as whether these monies were paid. We are going to ask him when will the contractors, the remaining contractors, in quote, be paid.
Okay.
That's what we're going to do on Tuesday.
All right. Thank you very much, Elliot Tano. Now, he is the leader of the Get Fund contractors there. Now, let's move over and do some other stories. The Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Tremanting, wants more private sector investors to partner government in its industrialization drive. Speaking at the Dawa Industrial Zone in Accra, the minister said it is only through the establishment of industries that jobs will be created for the teeming youth of the country.
The industrial park is designed to host a wide range of light and heavy industries across various sectors, including agro-processing, garments and textiles, logistics, materials and metal fabrication. At full capacity, the Dawa Industrial Zone is expected to host more than 100 companies and directly employ over 15,000 people. On a working visit, the sector minister, Alan Tremanting, lauded managers of the facility and promised government support.
Within the next 2 years, these industrial parks will become the attraction all over the world, and that we can bring in private sector anchor customers who then can support government in its industrialization drive. Even though this is a private sector investment, I can assure you that we will work with you, we'll facilitate this investment and actually do the promotion of this investment jointly with you.
A 400 MV substation under construction is expected to be commissioned in August.
We aim to provide first-class facilities for any investor from anywhere in the world that is looking for a one-stop destination where you just come in and put in your factory and start working. So we take away the burden of going to look for land, preparing a road to your place, looking for water, looking for electricity or fiber optic data facilities. All those things are done by LMI Holdings.
Some industries, including Atlantic Concrete, which manufactures concrete sleepers for Ghana's railway company, have begun taking up positions in the park.
Underground material platform on which the railway sits on to move. In Ghana, we use the wooden one now currently. When you go to the railway lines, you see the wooden ones lying. That's what we call the railway sleeper. But we are bringing in the concrete one, getting rid of the wooden one because of the advantage that the concrete one presents.
The Dawa Industrial Zone is a 2,000-acre facility and is located on the Accra-Aplao Road.
Midday Live returns shortly with some sports news with Nana Kojo Afre.